My name's Ed Anderson. I am the Georgia lead organizer for Common Defense. We are a progressive veterans advocacy group. I'm a veteran, 10-year veteran of the United States Air Force and a 25-year veteran retired teacher, high school science teacher. I live in Atlanta. Freedom. Um, a lot of that is certainly cloaked by my age. I'm 70 years old, and I was 10 years old when the Edmund Pettus Bridge incident happened in Selma, Montgomery. I can remember sitting at the television and watching that, and you know, just wondering what was going on. Um, uh, Being a child of the civil rights movement, freedom was a phrase that we heard and used often as we vote, as my parents and I worked towards voting rights and the Civil Rights Act in 1965. So freedom to me means the ability to be who you are, where you are, and with comfort and acknowledgement and respect for your opinions. That's what freedom is to me. Democracy is something that I've had to learn to learn about in order to understand what democracy is. Growing up, you saw democracy as one man, one vote. But again, going back to the civil rights movement, we understood that that's wasn't what our where our country was at that time. Um, I came to a political awakening during the Vietnam War, and democracy was challenged by many of us who protested against the war because we felt that we weren't upholding the principles of democracy. A disproportionate number of casualties in Vietnam were people of color and from lower socioeconomic groups. The people in Vietnam eventually decided that democracy was not the way for them. So I grew up weighing what democracy was to different people in different environments. I looked at where we were in our country with very few people of color elected to office, even though we were over 30% or close to 30% of the population at the time. And with my belief in democracy being one person, one vote, um, it certainly challenged those assumptions in my early years, which has made me become a ardent defender of democracy and the rights for everybody in my more senior years. Hmm. Our democracy is in danger. At Common Defense, we have a campaign called Veterans for Democracy. Um, I look at three things specifically as the initial challenge or as the current challenges to democracy. Number one is Citizens United. I feel like the infusion of money completely unfiltered into our political campaigns has changed what democracy means. Number two, I look at the Supreme Court overturning sections of the Voting Rights Act because living in the South and being from up north, I understand the history of voter suppression in the South, and I see it as an active, consistent thing going on today. The third thing, and this kind of ties in with my opinion of Citizens United, I think we should have federally funded elections, shorten the election season like they do in other countries, and limit the amount of money that groups on both the right and the left can use to influence our elections. It doesn't make sense that our representative democracy, when you look at who the representatives are, you have to almost be a millionaire to be an elected official in our country. And that and gerrymandering, again, I guess that's my fourth thing. Um, uh, Gerrymandering is a threat and a danger to democracy, and I think that that should be looked at and reevaluated. And a nonpartisan, bipartisan gerrymandering effort should or alignment effort should be undertaken in the country. Uh, Actually, yes. I can go back to my high school years. Um, in 1971, going into my senior year in high school, I was elected president of student government, but I was a write-in candidate, and I ran against two students who were not of the same race. I went to a predominantly white high school, suburban high school, and they were more affluent than I, and I trounced them. I mean, I just trounced them as a write-in candidate. We had a very politically active school. The principal decided that even though I won overwhelmingly, that it was not a democratic process, and he canceled student government for that year. And if you look in our yearbook on the page for student government, it's a black page that has a banner across that says "Gone Fishing." Um, that certainly brought home to me the fallacy of one person, one vote, of the equality of voting. And it's something that I carried with me. Well, I still carry to this day because I can see the inequities of voting. I can see the biases and prejudices of those who are counting and controlling the voting systems. So that has made me more sensitive to voter registration, voter suppression efforts nationally as well as here in Georgia. Well, being an eternal optimist, um, I have at times struggled to keep that optimism to the forefront of my thoughts as I think about our country. Um, our democracy is in danger. Um, I definitely feel that young people like those involved in this project, like you, Elizabeth, and others, are picking up the mantle and carrying the torch that many of us who are now in our senior years lit during the Vietnam War. The political awareness, I think, of young people is very motivating for me. It keeps me going with a lot of the rallies and I don't call them demonstrations, shows of support that I've participated in. I see a good mixture of gray hair and young hair. And I like to see that combination because that's what it's going to take, as well as people from all across the spectrum of gender, race, religion. We all have to work together and support the beliefs that America was founded on. I will reiterate that it does my old heart good to see young people like you doing the work that you're doing, Elizabeth. Uh, I have three children of my own in their 40s and 30s, and I'm proud that they are continuing. Well, let's put it this way: their mothers and I brought them up right. They are politically active. They are politically sensitive to what's going on, and they're getting involved just like their parents have. So, in conclusion, I just support wholeheartedly efforts like the Reimagining Democracy uh, program. And if there's anything else I can do, I'm more than willing to contribute what I can.